First and foremost, I'd like to thank our fans for coming out and providing an unbelievable atmosphere and, great home field advantage for our team. Truly some of the best fan support in all of college football. I thought it was a great team win, one of our most complete games of the season. Thought there were positive contributions in all three phases. Entered the game with an aggressive mindset and carried it through 4 quarters. Ultimately came out on top in the statistical categories, which we believe determine the outcome of games. Explosive play margin, which was great to get back on track offensively, and turnover margin while winning situational football on 3rd down and in the red zone. Proud of our players and the way they've held true to our process, our culture, and our standard for success in times of prosperity and adversity. Thought we had a solid week of practice, played with tremendous effort, and most importantly, executed at a high level of precision. And there's no magic wand. That's why we won the game, and to get our second win over a top 25 team in the season. I think first time since 2014. I think that's a great testament to our team and our kids and our program. So certainly very happy coming out of that. Our players of the week on offense, Nick Fitzgerald. On defense, we had co-players of the week, Errol Thompson and Jaquarius Landrews. And on special teams, co-players as well, Chris Rayford and Tim Washington. Our scouts of the week on offense were Brad Cumbus and Jaquarius Spivey. On defense, Chris Redmond. And on special teams, Saman Anderson. Our student athletes of the week were Darrell Williams and Grant Harris. Okay. Injury update, Colin Hill is getting better every day. Still day-to-day, but progressing. Did practice yesterday, so we're feeling optimistic about that. And Keith Mixon with a lower body as well. Still day-to-day, he's progressing, and we're very optimistic there. On the defensive side of the ball, Brian Cole is officially out for the remainder of the season. I'm not sure if we discussed that with an upper body. So Brian is out for the rest of the season. And Braxton Hoyette still with a lower body day-to-day. And we're optimistic about him as well. So we're hoping to get him back as soon as possible. Moving on to Louisiana Tech. Obviously led by Coach Skip Holtz. 43-30 in his 6th season, was a 2016 Conference USA Coach of the Year. With the win over FAU, Coach became the 3rd winningest coach in school history. Very disciplined team. They're 5th in the country in penalties. Their offense coordinator is Todd Fitch, a very experienced veteran of the college football profession. He coaches wide receivers. They're a spread RPO quick game attack, averaging 28 points a game, 142 on the ground, and 248 in the air, led by quarterback Jamar Smith, a product of Meridian. He's thrown for just about 2,000 yards this year and 12 touchdowns. Operates the system very well. More of a thrower than a runner, but can pull the ball down and be a threat there when necessary. Jaquise Dancy's their leading rusher, good speed, very elusive. And I think they've got an excellent receiving core, and that shows up in the LSU game. Those guys made a bunch of plays. Adrian Hardy is a legitimate deep threat. And then Teddy Veal is their leading receiver. Moving over to the other side of the ball, the coordinator is Blake Baker. They play a mix of 3 and 4 down fronts, 1 and 2 high zones, and some man. They're 18th in the country in sacks per game and 29th in pass defense. They are led by defensive lineman Jalen Ferguson, who is, regardless of level, Power 5 or Group of 5, one of the best and most productive pass rushers we'll face this season. He currently sits at 37 tackles, an amazing 14.5 for loss and 10.5 sacks. Currently leads the nation in sacks, and Bill, if I'm not mistaken, is the current active leader in the FBS in career sacks. So he's certainly a force to be reckoned with. Linebacker Colin Scott, 56 tackles, 6.5 for loss, and a sack and a half, leads the team in tackles. And linebacker Amik Robertson has 34 tackles, a pick, and 8 PBUs, very quick and very athletic. Eric Link is their special teams coordinator. The key stat there, they have blocked 3 field goals this year, including 1 to win the game versus North Texas. And Teddy Veal is the returner. He's averaging 14 yards per punt return. In their kickoff return, Michael Sam is averaging almost 22 yards in kickoff returns. For us, certainly it's going to be homecoming. 2 home games left. I think it would be tremendous, for our fans to continue to do the things that they've done this season. support this team and provide a great home field advantage, in particular everything this senior class has done for this school and this university on homecoming to come out and support those guys. I certainly have the utmost respect for Coach Holtz and his staff and their program. Bowl eligible at 6-2, playing with a ton of confidence. We're very competitive against LSU, and discuss with our team our need to compete against a standard, not an opponent, and the consistent habits will yield consistent results. We need to have a great week of practice, play with tremendous effort, and execute our scheme with precision, one rep at a time for 4 quarters. And if that occurs, the score will take care of itself. So very excited about this opportunity. Fired up about where we are, coming off a huge win at home, and providing some great momentum into the tail end of the season here. I love the Penguin representation as well as the Pirate representation. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Coach, last year, Earl Thompson showed a lot of flashes and played in a backup role behind Des Harris. When you got here, how quickly did you see him make that transition into being the player he has been so far this year?
I think he was, kind of quiet during, winter conditioning when we're allowed to be around the guys, and you're doing drills and in the weight room. Coach Paroli talked about him, but I think his kind of understated leadership really didn't show up until spring ball and fall camp once you get on the field. So he's kind of a guy that does it more by example than vocally. But once we put the pads on and he started communicating, started flying around and hitting, I think you knew at that point that he was going to have a chance to be something special.
Hey Joe, with Brian Cole out, obviously Landrews has really kind of stepped into that role and played really well. And I know Marcus Murphy's come in there and giving you some good reps. How do you feel about that position and kind of, I guess, how those guys have stepped into that role with Cole out?
No, I think it's been very great for Landrews, and kind of across the board in this game with Kylan out and Braxton out and other guys stepping up and kind of not missing a beat. But JQ, he's playing fantastic football right now, and I think he's been very productive. I think he's been very steady. Made a lot of impact plays, and kind of early on in the season, people were talking about Marcus because of the fanfare coming out of a local school and how talented he is. And, see him kind of, as we kind of talked about, easing his way into it and making plays on special teams, which he did at first, and now being in our cheetah package and doing some things and getting some reps. I think it was a valuable experience for Marcus the past 2 games, and I think it was a good decision to get him on the field and not redshirt him.
I know there's more to the position than just catching passes, but how do the tight ends kind of get involved? What do they have to do to get more involved in the passing game?
Yeah, we had some routes dialed up for them for this game, and they were a target on a couple of the naked passes out in the flat, and we had one in the second half that was getting thrown to the tight end, and the coverage dictated. I think they took a sack or threw it away there. So, a lot of that is coverage-based and scheme-based. We have plays on the board when we game plan to make sure that there are opportunities for all the skill positions, and they're there. A lot of it is coverage-based, where the ball goes. So we make sure that the Z, the H, the X, the tight ends and the backs all are going to have opportunities, and we're dispersing the ball to our playmakers. A lot of it's dictated by the coverage.
Kind of going off of that, 2 of the receivers had well over 200 of Nick's 241 passing yards. How much of an emphasis is it to sort of get some of those other receivers involved?
Yeah, that's a good question. We when we watched the film on Sunday and talked about moving forward into this week, that we needed to, I say, do more things to get the slots, the H position, and the tight ends involved in the pass game, because I said a lot of it is coverage dictated, but those are guys that I think did some things early on, and not that we've gotten away from them, but the ball's gone to other places. So I think the more balance that we can have in getting everybody involved makes defenses defend the width and the length of the field. So that's something that was discussed, trying to get those guys more involved.
Joe, what's kind of your thoughts on the status of the punting game right now, and what can be done there, I guess, to improve upon it?
I'm in favor of it. That's punting. This is another game where we didn't win the field position battle. And, you talk about hidden yardage, and I don't want to put the onus squarely on the punting game, but, when you come out and, see the other people hitting at 50 and flipping the field, I think we're doing a really good job with the protection. I think we're doing a good job in coverage. I think both guys have shown flashes of where we need to be for kicking the ball, and they're both very talented at this point. I think it's more of a consistency thing than anything. So we've got to, find ways to get the ball kicked over people's head and force them to fair catch it and not have low line drives. So, more than anything, it's a consistency issue right now.
You mentioned after the game this kind of being a better representative of your play calling style, being more aggressive as you evaluated it. How close was that to being what you want to be as a play caller?
I'd say pretty representative, and I think, it goes back to, the balance aspect of, wanting to run it and pass it with equal effectiveness. And if one of the two parts of your game gets shut down, being able to lean to the other part. And, I said, the pass game is what was missing. But, I just, for whatever reason, I just feel, going into that game, we said, you got to remember what got us here. And, that's what we're going to be moving forward.
Yeah, that's kind of having success, doing what you want to do moving forward, but having success with it now. Is this kind of what you were getting at when you mentioned building for the future, but also having success right now?
Yeah, and as I said before, great leaders look in the mirror, not out the window. And we were having trouble scoring points like we were at LSU, and had success at different parts of the season. The first person who has to ask, what can you do better, is the head coach and the guy that runs the offense. And, talk to the team Friday night before the game that I was trying to game plan and call the perfect play, every single time. And that's not just realistic. And when you're trying to make everything perfect every single time, then the results weren't in our favor. And when just went back to game planning it, calling it aggressively and doing what we do well, and, staying, dictating the tempo of the game rather than reacting to the tempo of the game. I think that's something that, was an element that may have been missing at times in the middle part of the season, and one that won't be missing moving forward.
Coach, a lot of the ball games you've been a little buttoned up, but after that first touchdown, you showed some emotion and grabbed a few people by the face mask and showed some genuine passion there. What was kind of the thought behind all that stuff?
No, I have it in me. What you see in front of the cameras, or, it always in what's, seen behind closed doors when you're talking to the team or getting the guys fired up. And, that was organic. That wasn't fake, and that wasn't manufactured. I was truly that fired up. And, my college head coach, he now works as a director of player development at Rutgers, and, shot me a text after the game and said, that looked like the guy who played for me. So you want attitude to reflect leadership. You don't want the players to see the head coach out of control, but at the same time, you want them to see that you're as invested in the game emotionally as they are. And I was. And I think we may need more of that. And like I said, as a first-time coach with a new team, and you're learning the culture and you're learning their personalities, there's ways you have to change throughout the season. And, you don't want the team that was at Kentucky where the coach was in control and the players are out of control, and you don't want a game where the coach is out of control and the players are in control. You got to find that happy medium, and hopefully we find that on Saturday. Tyler?
Following up on that, I guess. Obviously it's been a roller coaster of a season, but how do you think the guys have sort of adjusted to what you said? You sort of changing your emotions, and do you think they've sort of stayed even keel through all that and sort of gravitated to what you've tried to do there?
Yeah, I think they reacted well to it, and I think the thing that one of the things I've been the most proud of throughout the season, that there's been some ups and downs, there's been a lot of prosperity, a little bit of adversity, that the team has remained on an even keel emotionally, and you haven't seen the result affect our effort. And we've come out on a daily basis, and these kids have really practiced their butts off. And that's what we talked about after practice yesterday. Whether we're coming off a win, coming off a loss, regardless of what the circumstance is, we're not letting it dictate how we prepare and how hard we play. And now I think we're seeing increased execution in the kids trusting the process and believing the things that we tell them are necessary for us to be successful. And I think that's a positive in two regards. One, for the immediacy of this season and what we have to do moving forward, and two, understanding what we're doing for the long term here.
Coach, I know you talked about this a lot on Saturday, but Nick gets another SEC Player of the Week. Just
Yeah.
what does it mean to you to see him finally get to where
No,
y'all
I
expected
think
him
I
to be?
think that's his second, if I'm not mistaken, for a season, which is great for him. And once again, and I'm not going to go back and belabor the point. I kind of made my thoughts crystal clear on Saturday. But excellent validation for him to come out, bounce back, and play like he's capable of playing, and doing the things in both the run and the pass game, and leading the team, and being resilient and being a captain, and all the things that go along with being a great teammate. I thought it was a good day for the whole team, and an excellent day for Nick.